All right, guys. Thank you for those of you who have stayed with me and were patient. I apologize for the tech issues, but we're going to run this over here. I'll upload it to Facebook once we're done. I'm just going to post over here that we're here. All right. Again, thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to, you can leave comments right below here and I can see them. I'm looking forward to talking to you about this, and I'm glad that we were able to figure this out. All right. 1 second. Again, thank you for your patience. All right, I think I've let you guys know in as many places as I can think to let you know. So hopefully you're with me over here. I'm looking forward to talking about this. So let's jump in. What do you say? Again, I can see your comments below. I have the chat open. Let me just put this over here. All right. Okay, we're good. Yay, everybody's here. All right, let's do this. Whew. Here is one big, major, fantastic lesson to learn when it comes to anything tech related, but especially in the podcast space. There will be times where things happen. It's all about responding to them. It's all about, hi, Tanya. It's all about dealing with it, figuring out what needs to be figured out, and executing. That's really all we can do, guys. And so that's what we're doing now. Facebook is giving us some weird streaming stuff. I don't know why. I will figure that out later. That's not a now problem. Right now, our focus is me getting you this content. And that really is what you have to remember when it comes to picking your gear for your podcast. As critical as I mentioned that it is for you to have a great sound quality and be listenable and have that equipment, what's most important is that you are delivering value and that you know what's going to happen. Tanya says, it's great that you knew how to quickly pivot. Thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of it comes from having a backup plan. And the same is true for your podcasting stuff. So know what needs to happen if something's not working. This is especially true when you guys are doing guest interviews. And we're going to talk in just a few minutes about the tech behind having a guest. But I have run into this time and time again where we've got an issue with Skype's not working and that's where we're recording. Okay, well, what's plan B? Well, we've got Zoom. We can do a Google Hangout. I know exactly what happens if plan A doesn't work, how to get us through B and C and D, and that's as far as I can go. Once D doesn't work, I'm like, I'm out. Reschedule. But it's important to know and have that plan B so that you can get your guest pivoted and where you need to go. The same is true if you want to do a live podcast. If you want to do a weekly, Facebook Live, and that gets pulled and repurposed into an audio podcast or a video podcast that goes out on iTunes and Stitcher and all of those places. Great. What if Facebook's Live's not working? How do you get that content out? How do you serve that community? And how do you deliver what you need to deliver? You have to know that before it goes. And so this has been totally accidentally a great day two gear example. Facebook Live was giving us issues, and so we figured out what to do next. I had a backup plan in mind. I executed it. I shared it with you guys. You will probably get an extra email from me today because I will probably mail out this replay just because I want to make sure everybody sees it. But that's a really, really important thing to consider when you're looking at your own gear. So let's take a deep breath. We know why gear matters. And it matters because we want people to listen to the show. And they're not going to listen to the show if it sounds terrible. So what is, and we're going to start with this, our minimum viable products for gear. What do we have to have in place? Hold on one second. I've got a question from Tanya. Is YouTube Live a free option? Yes, it is. It's totally free, easy to do. This is actually how I run all of my webinars, my private webinars. This is also how we do the any live trainings inside of our paid membership, Hit the Mic Backstage. We run them all through YouTube Live events. The difference between those and what we're doing right now is generally I have those unlisted and then embedded on the membership site so that people can find them there, but not anyone on YouTube can find them. This one we've got public because we were doing it public over on Facebook. And so we're continuing that here. But yes, YouTube Live is totally free and surprisingly easy to use. And it, like Facebook Live, occasionally has its bugs. That's why there are other options. But I love YouTube Live. It used to be Hangouts on Air, and I'm still running this right now. I'm running this through Hangouts on Air. I'm not running it through an encoder. I was running my Facebook Live through an encoder. If you don't know what any of that means, that's okay. But yeah, YouTube Live, totally free. So let's talk about the exterior stuff first and the minimum viable product. We're going to talk about mics. This mic right here, not a minimum viable product mic. This mic is a Rode Podcaster mic. It plugs right into the back of my iMac via USB. When I talk about the mic, I'm just talking about this, and I'm going to lift this up a little bit more. I'm just talking about this white piece right here, not this black here or this arm that I'm going to stretch out so you can see it that's hooked to my desk. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm just talking about this mic. Excuse me. As I said, it's a Rode Podcaster mic. This mic will run you about $300. I did not upgrade to this until I hit 300 episodes on the show, and I had been doing the show for 3 years. This is not where you have to start. I love this mic. It makes me so, so happy. I went to school to be an audio engineer, so I have a lot of experience with mics. Rode makes a very high quality mic. In fact, if I had gotten my camera down to show you, I actually have a Rode mic on my camera as well for my video stuff. So I love Rode mics. This is a great one, but I want to talk minimum viable product first. And so I'm going to pull out this guy right here, which is the mic that launched Hit the Mic with the Stacey Harris. And I'm just talking about this piece up here. I'm actually going to take it off. This piece right here. This is a Samson Meteor mic. It'll run you right about $60 on Amazon. And it's fantastic. It works great. The thing to remember with this guy, and he'll come with 3 little legs. You can actually see where the brackets are there, where those have been taken off. So he can set right on the table. The thing I didn't like about that is that had about that much range from the table, a couple of inches, which didn't so much help because I wasn't down here talking. And so we upgraded to this guy, which we'll talk about in just a second. But this is a great mic. The thing to consider with this mic is you want your room to be quiet, because it will pick everything up from all the way around it. The cool thing about the Rode is it's really only picking up what's in front of it. It's blocking out all of that background noise. This is more of an Omni mic, so it's really picking up everything around it, which can be kind of a pain if you don't have a really quiet room, or if you have a room with a lot of flat surfaces, like big windows or blank walls, you will get some feedback occasionally, so you have to sort of modulate your own voice, something I'm not particularly good at. I'm a projector. But this is a great place to get started. Again, it's about $60-$70 on Amazon. But I did 300 episodes of Hit the Mic with the Stacey Harris on this very mic, which is why it usually sits on the shelf right here in its sort of mic Hall of Fame spot right there is where it usually sits. Another option in the same price range is a Snowball, which you've probably heard by a company called Blue. Again, under $100, really great starter. I do like that one above this one because it is got a better front range versus that Omni pickup. And so it can be a really good choice. Again, it will come on short little legs. So you either need to put it on some books or buy something like this. And this is what we're going to move to now, is talking about the stand. For this mic, I kept it really simple. I picked up this table stand for right around 15 bucks, again on Amazon. It's called On Stage Stand, and it just sat right on my desk. If you turn this black ring here, you can actually lift it up and down. That's about as high as it goes, probably 1.5 feet. I'm not very good at that game. So you can see, and that was great because it put it right in front of my mouth. The thing to consider when you do a table stand versus an arm, like what we've got over here, and I'm actually going to turn this a little bit so you guys can see this rig, versus a table stand like this. Yes, I color at my desk sometimes. A stand like this is going to allow me to touch my desk without something getting picked up. When you have a table stand, anytime you make contact with the table it's on, this is going to vibrate and it's going to get picked up in the sound clip. So you have to, if you're going to use a table stand, not touch your table during recording. It's a key piece of information. And so, yeah, that's not going to fit back in there. So you're going to want to make sure you're aware of that when you're going through this. And you're going to want to make sure that you decide what's going to work best for your needs at this point. With the arm setup that we've got now, I have the ability to touch the table more and it not get picked up as loudly. Obviously, it's still going to pick up sound, so I'm sure you guys heard me typing earlier because it still picks up any sound you're making. But me bumping the desk, you see it moving, but you don't hear that sort of bang. But yeah, so I recommend an arm. But if you need portability, maybe you don't have a fixed office space. I mean, this thing is like attached to my desk. It's always here. When I'm not recording, it literally just sits like this. So it's always here. If you need more flexibility, maybe you don't have a permanent office space, something like a table stand will work really well. Just make sure you know, don't hit the table. Tanya asked, should we get one for each host? Yes, I highly recommend mics for each host. If you are recording in the same space, you're going to want to probably also add in a mixing board so that you can turn on everybody's mics. Also, because you're going to need to pull in two streams of audio into the computer from 2 different mics. The reason I say yes for each mic, each host being mic'd individually, is this. You then have control of each audio track. You then have the ability to edit each person's mic. So maybe I'm really loud and you're not so loud, which I have come across in the past. And my audio is just crazy high. It's crazy high. And my co-host audio is not so high. I want to be able to adjust my audio down and their audio up so that we match. And so that's why you want to have control of each person's audio so that you can adjust those sound levels independently. So yes, each host should have a mic. Now let's talk about this dual environment thing. Now, here's the thing. If you are recording separately, but you have 2 hosts, or maybe you have just 1 host and you have a guest and you're recording, I suggest using Skype and Ecamm call recorder. For mixing board stuff, I will send you a link to a couple. I can't remember the names offhand, and I don't have one because I just have me. So I will find you a link and send you a link to the one I recommend. For the life of me, I can't remember. I want to say it's Audio-Technica, but I can't remember the model number. Tag me on Facebook, drop a comment on Facebook, and or email me, and I will get you a link to one I recommend. Anyways, let's talk about when you're recording separately. Maybe you're not in the same space. I like Skype and Ecamm call recorder for a Mac. If you're on a PC, there's another recording service called Pamela that works really well. And what's cool about these is they'll still allow you to have individual audio tracks. So even though you're separated, you can, instead of having one MP3 file, you can split those audio tracks so you can still edit them independently. I also like this if you're doing video because you can get those great side-by-side video clips versus having like a Hangouts where it's only the person who's talking that's sort of showing. So that's cool. But I like those services. Another great option, a good plan B, is Zoom or a tool like this, running a Hangout. You can run it through YouTube Live, just keep the event private, bring in both hosts, record it into there, and then download the audio. Easy breezy. Making this sound easy breezy, I talk more about how to do this inside of Backstage. Obviously, I can't like show you guys tutorials in this quick training. I'm trying to give you guys the tools to use, but it really is easy, I promise. It's totally doable. The thing to consider with guests or when you have multiple hosts that are recording in separate places is the importance of one incredibly undervalued tool. And I'm going to show you that tool right now. My chair is so loud today. Headphones. Seriously, this will make or break a podcast, and it's your least expensive piece of gear. I don't know how much these cost. I have 19 pairs of them. The iPhone headphones that you got, I think they come with Android devices too, I don't know. Any headphones, because here's what happens. When I'm on a mic and I'm talking to somebody on Skype and I'm listening to them through my computer, the computer audio comes out so I can hear it, but the mic hears it too. And that's how you get that feedback loop. That's how you get that echo. Like when you're on a call, you hear this a lot. You're on a call with somebody and you hear what you say and then you hear what you said while they're talking. That's because you've got a feedback loop. And that happens when you're not using these guys. Most important part of podcasting, have headphones. I always email guests and let them know you have to have headphones on. I also try and find out if they're going to be recording using the headphones that came with a mic on it, and they're going to be using that as their mic, because there are some things you want to pay attention to if that's the case. If they're using that, and I don't have any of those headphones around, I think they're just in my purse. What happens is that mic is going to lay right around here. So if you have a shirt with a collar, or ladies, if you have some great big necklace on, every time you move, that mic is going to hit it. Excuse me. That mic is going to hit it. And that's going to sound really, truly awful. So these are things you want to talk about with your guests, and these are things you want to pay attention to as a host. So headphones, so you don't get a feedback loop, and then pay attention to where that mic hits and if they're using that mic. Full honesty, that mic can be a great place to get started. I don't think the quality is as good as something like this. I think that honestly, truly, you can make a really easy investment to a mic to do something better than that. But if you have to, that will work. But make sure that everybody has earbuds in, and make sure you're talking directly into it, and make sure that you're not rubbing up against any sort of surfaces, either a shirt or jewelry or whatever. Cool. All right. So we kind of talked mics, we talked stands, we talked earbuds. Let's talk about the actual editing and recording software. So I know a couple of you mentioned you were fighting with Audacity. I'm with you. Audacity is not my favorite, but it's your best option if you're on a PC, because it's totally free. And it's really, really a very strong tool. It's got everything you're going to need to be able to do when it comes to recording and editing. And what's cool is, especially if you're a solo host and you don't have guests, you can record and edit right into it, edit that, and you're out. It's really easy to work with. So as difficult as it is sometimes to manage, and really it's one of those things about getting used to where you need to go. And that's why inside of Hit the Mic Backstage, we have actual video walkthroughs on how to use Audacity and how to use GarageBand, which I'm going to talk in just a second, because once you learn where everything is, you'll be golden. But also remember, if it's not your strong suit, if it's not something you want to do, outsource it. There are a ton of options to outsource. Fiverr's got some great options. There's entire services now dedicated to editing podcasts for people. So pay attention to those, find some resources on that front, and that's going to get you a long way to getting out of just horrible experiences with editing. Personally, editing I think is the fun part. I like to edit, but I'm a weirdo. All right. So Audacity, if you're on a PC, or it'll work on a Mac. However, if you're on a Mac, I highly recommend GarageBand. Again, a free tool. You can pull in your different audio tracks. You can edit everybody and ship it right out. You can record right into it if you're if you're not having guests and things like that. You can record right into there. You can record multiple microphones right into there, hooked up with your board for those of you who have more than one host. So you can record right into it and then edit right there. It really is nice to have all of that in one space. Again, it's GarageBand for a Mac, and for a PC, it's going to be GarageBand or, I'm sorry, Audacity will work on a Mac or a PC. So Audacity for a Mac or a PC, GarageBand just for Mac. Cool. We talked about recording. If you have guests, I use Skype, and we record those with Ecamm Call Recorder on a Mac, and Pamela for a PC. Hosting. I highly, 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 highly recommend Libsyn. It's who I've hosted with for 3.5 years now. They're a really, really great company. Any customer service issues are always handled really quickly, and honestly, I haven't run into that many. But another great option if you don't like Libsyn for some crazy reason is Podbean. You can work with them as well, or you can upload to something like SoundCloud. SoundCloud also allows you to get a feed where you can submit to iTunes and Stitcher and all of those things. And then the last thing I want to end on, and the most important piece of tech, is someplace you own to share your podcast. We are talking about this from a launch perspective, so make sure you've got, I apologize, my podcast is randomly starting. Clearly someone is in my garage driving my car. Okay, sorry about that. It's filled with tech stuff today. Anywho, make sure that you are utilizing whatever it is that you need to get together a place for your web or your podcast to live. So that can be a Squarespace site, that can be a WordPress site, that could be a Wix site, Weebly, whatever. You need to have some place where your audience can go to learn more about the hosts, learn more about the sponsors, things like that. So you got to make sure you have a website in there. Social media is great. I highly recommend it. We're going to talk more about using social media for our show tomorrow, but you got to have some place that you control to send people. Tanya asked, can you plug in both mics to a PC? You will, that's why you'll need the soundboard. What you'll do is you'll plug your mics into the board, the mixing board, and then you will plug your mixing board into the PC. So you'll have one audio line going into the PC, 2 audio lines going into the mixing board. Cool. I threw so much at you guys because this is such a massive topic, but here's the main takeaway I want you to have. Yes, there are a lot of pieces, but planning, getting clear on what you need, nothing more, nothing less, that's critical. And then just learning your tools, learning how to use them. That's one of the reasons we have Hit the Mic Backstage, is I actually show you how to edit and record into GarageBand, into Audacity, how to submit your feed in Libsyn, all of those things. But you really don't have to have a ton of gear, especially if you're one host with no guests. Literally, you need a mic, your computer, Audacity or GarageBand, and then your podcast host, and away you go. You don't have to have things like a mixing board unless you have more than one host, and then you are going to want to have it. And if you are more than one host and you're not quite ready to do like a mixing board kind of setup, here's the deal. Don't record in the same room. Each of you record from your own houses, connect on Skype or Zoom or do a YouTube live event that's totally private, record it, and there you go. You don't necessarily have to be in the same room using a mixing board. You each get a mic, you plug into your own computers, and there you go. That can also be easier for scheduling when you're not in the same place. So consider that, all right? All right, again, I threw a ton at you. I appreciate you hanging out with me through all the tech issues. If you have questions, leave them on the Facebook page. I'm gonna upload this video to the Facebook page and you can leave them there in just a little bit as soon as it renders and uploads. If you have questions, leave them there, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Again, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go figure out why Facebook Live is being weird. Bye, guys.